Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought that your physical health might actually be a spiritual issue? We're about to dive into a really fascinating take on this, drawn from a recent sermon that completely reframes wellness. It's not just about self-care, it's about something much, much deeper. Okay, let's get into it. So let's just put the central question right out there on the table. Is your health a spiritual issue? It's a pretty provocative idea, right? It's designed to make us stop and look at our own bodies through a completely different lens than we're used to.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to start with the core concept that the speaker introduces, which he calls the gospel of health.
Now, first things first, this isn't some new, undiscovered book of the Bible. It's a framework, a way of looking at a famous verse, John 10:10, where Jesus talks about bringing abundant life. The argument here is that this promise wasn't just about eternity. It's also about physical wholeness and energy and well-being in the here and now.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The whole idea is built by connecting two powerful concepts. The Greek word for abundant life is parison, which means, overflowing, more than enough. The speaker connects that idea to the Hebrew concept of shalom, and shalom isn't just about peace. It's this idea of complete, total wholeness, where your body, mind, and spirit are all integrated and working together perfectly.
So, this way of thinking leads to a pretty big shift. In many Christian circles, there's this idea of stewardship, that you're supposed to manage your time, your talent, and your treasure. Well, this sermon argues that we've been missing a crucial fourth piece of that puzzle, a fourth T, the temple, which is, of course, your own body.
And this isn't an idea that just comes out of nowhere. The theological grounding for it comes from Scripture, like this verse from 1 Corinthians. The argument is that your body isn't just some thing that you own. It's more like a sacred trust, something you've been given to care for intentionally.
But if the body is a temple, well, the source material argues that right now, that temple is under a massive, widespread attack. And the numbers used to back this up are, frankly, staggering. Let's just start with the world's #1 killer, cardiovascular disease. The CERN points out it's responsible for over 20.5 million deaths every single year. I mean, that is a colossal global crisis.
Then you look at cancer. Citing the British Journal of Cancer, the sermon brings up this really sobering statistic, a 1 in 2 lifetime risk. Just think about that. For every 2 people listening to this, statistically, 1 will face that battle. It really puts into perspective how common these struggles are. And the crisis doesn't stop there. Look at our metabolic health. Diabetes affects over 10% of the entire global population. But here's the kicker. As the speaker notes, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It doesn't even count the huge number of people who are pre-diabetic, standing right on the edge.
So where is all this coming from? According to the sermon, this isn't a simple one-front war. It's happening on 4 major fronts at once. Our environment, our crazy high-stress lifestyles, a food chain that's been corrupted with chemicals, and of course, a diet that's just dominated by ultra-processed junk.
So, okay, those are the symptoms. But what's the underlying disease? The sermon really drills down to try and identify what it calls the silent architect of this whole broken system.
And the answer, from this perspective, is just one simple, powerful word: greed. The argument is that the relentless, nonstop drive for profit has led to a system that prioritizes financial gain over our collective health time and time again. And this quote from Thomas Edison is used to really hit the point home. We live in a system of sick care. We wait until something's broken, then we try to fix it. The speaker says we need to flip that entirely and move to proactive healthcare that's all about prevention.
All right, so if prevention is the goal, how do we actually get there? The sermon zooms in on the work of 2 medical experts, a Dr. Lustig and a Dr. Jenna, who offer some really powerful and, honestly, surprising advice. First up is Dr. Robert Lustig. He's a glucose expert, and he pretty much blows up one of the cornerstones of modern dieting with this one simple statement: a calorie is not a calorie. It's not about the number, it's about the source.
He explains what he calls the insulin hunger cycle. And it's a trap. You eat refined carbs or sugar, your insulin spikes, and that insulin literally blocks the hormone that's supposed to tell your brain you're full. So your brain is left thinking it's starving, which makes you intensely hungry again. It's a vicious, brutal cycle.
And he also introduces this really alarming idea called TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. This is a huge warning that the number on the bathroom scale can be a total liar. You can be at a quote-unquote healthy weight, but inside you could be accumulating dangerous internal fats that are the real drivers of disease.
Okay, so the second expert mentioned is a cardiologist, Dr. Pradeep Jena. And he claims that what we've been told about heart disease for decades is wrong. He argues it's not really about cholesterol. The true enemy is chronic inflammation.
And Dr. Jenna's advice is really direct. He says belly fat isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's an inflammation factory that's constantly churning out problems. He calls fasting a superpower for lowering insulin and calming that inflammation. And he also warns against some hidden dangers, like too much cardio and even the fructose from eating way too much fruit.
So this brings us full circle back to the final section, Fit for Service, which connects all this practical, science-backed health advice to that initial spiritual idea. Ultimately, the sermon's message really boils down to this. Taking care of your temple isn't just a defensive move to avoid getting sick. It's an offensive move. It's about being healthy enough, strong enough, and clear-headed enough to fulfill your purpose.
This sermon wraps up with this incredible verse from Isaiah, and it just perfectly connects spiritual hope to actual physical strength and endurance, the ability to run and not get tired. It frames our vitality as this divine gift that we're supposed to cultivate.
And that leaves us with one last thing to really think about. If we stop looking at our health as just maintenance, like fixing a car when it breaks, and start seeing it as stewardship, caring for a precious and irreplaceable gift, how does that fundamentally change the little choices we make every single day?